we need to talk about Brody Mihocek. Let's get into it. Over the last, maybe not a couple of weeks, over the last maybe month or so, talks from Collingwood fans has been ramping up, I feel anyway, especially in my comments, especially in my DMs on Instagram, telling me, and I guess telling the AFL community, we need to chuck Brody Mihocek down back. And I wholeheartedly, with every ounce of my body, disagree. Before we continue with this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button, nearly at 9,500, and that would be absolutely incredible if I could get that before I return back to Australia in a week's time. But now, Brody Mihocek as a fullback, let's talk about it. So before Checkers came to the club, before he was rookie drafted, he was a fullback for Port Melbourne, played there for 3 years, won the premiership in 2017, won their best and fairest as well, and he was drafted as a backman at the time. So that was around, well, that was, the 2017 season leading into 2018. We didn't have many options down back, lots of injuries. You remember Darcy Moore was always sort of injured around that time and famously didn't play much for 2018, didn't play that 2018 grand final either. Who knows what would have happened if Buckley chucked him in there. But we needed some coverage down back, and we saw Brody Mihocek as this incredible fullback from Port Melbourne, a mature-aged player, and Pi said, yep, let's get him. He's going to be absolutely incredible. But then the funny thing about football is things happen, things change, right? On the flip of a dime. And we needed someone up forward, and we chucked Brody Mihocek up forward, and he literally hasn't looked back since. Since debuting in 2018, he's won 5 of the last 6 Gordon Coventry goal kicking awards. He only didn't win it this year because he was injured for most of the year. And that's another thing about Brody Mihocek, is that he's a battering ram, right? We have just smashed him from pillar to post since his debut in 2018 because we didn't have really anyone to sort of help him up forward, any sort of big bodies. And this year it really all caught up with him, a couple of injuries here and there, but seemingly he's ready to go for next season. Now, why I wanted to make this video is, I guess positional changes do happen in football, and I can see the law of wanting Brody Mihocek, who is, I guess, a naturally trained backman, to float down back. But there's a couple of things that just don't sit right with me. One, Brody's 31 years old. He'll be 32 before the season starts. 2, I just think he's a better forward. Like, I know that, yes, like I just said, he's a classically trained backman, and, he could probably go back and do, pick up his craft like he sort of never left. But why would you rob yourself of an incredible, hardworking, high-marking forward just to chuck him down back? Now, I know that the back line is something that we don't have a lot of cover for at the moment. We never really replaced Nathan Murphy, but I'm really persevering with Charlie Dean. I'm persevering with Billy Frampton down back, as opposed to putting Brody Mihocek down back. And look, I know it worked for Rory Lobb, and I've seen one argument to say, oh, Chris Tarrant was a leading goal kicker, and he went back when he played for Fremantle. With Chris Tarrant, though, is he had I think it was 1 or 2 good seasons as a forward for Freo, and then he was shocking as a forward. So I think it was, who was it at the time? I want to say Chris Connolly, but I don't think that's correct. Whoever was the Fremantle coach at the time flipped him down back, and then, he was a great backman, and then he comes to Collingwood as a great backman, and we swing him up forward when we need to. With Brody Mihocek, now that we've got McStay up and firing, now that we've got Tim Membry, you want that 3-pronged trident attack up forward. Like, why are you robbing yourself, again, of a good forward just to play him down back? And it could possibly work. We've actually seen it a couple of times where, very rarely, but we've seen it where McRae flicks Mihocek down back just to sort of settle it a little bit. Very rare, but we have seen it. I kind of like what Carlton do with Charlie Curnow, where a great forward, right? Obviously, incredible forward. But when the game needs to be sort of closed up, or when they need, the other teams like attacking a lot in that sort of last quarter-ish, they'll chuck Charlie Curnow higher up the ground, so not deep. Oh no, he does sometimes plays deep in the defence, around that half-back line as well. And then he's taking a mark, and then he's sort of setting up the goals. But then, he's not there to kick it to himself. So I can kind of see that happening with Brody Mihocek if we really, really need to swing him down back. But I just can't get around the positional change. And I'm usually open-minded with positional changes, right? Like, I want Reef to play as a defender. I wanted to flick Jeremy Howe up forward as well when we sort of need it. But I just cannot wrap my head around Brody Mihocek playing as a defender, like a full-time defender. Just one, it'd look so weird. It'd look absolutely so weird. And I need the guy that's kicking 40, 50 goals. I need him up forward. I don't need him to defend. I do not need him to defend. What about this, right? Instead of Brody Mihocek defending and using him as a defender, he kicks 2 to 4 goals a game with McStay and Membry, and we win the game with a big score as opposed to relying on a forward turned backman to help defend us. Because when I sort of go through my best 23, I think we've got a pretty sound defence. We're lacking a little bit. But that's typical Collingwood. We'll draft for that. I'm pretty sure we're going to draft for a tall, either key position defender or key position forward. But I'm not robbing Peter to pay Paul. Is that the saying? I think it's the saying, because I just I can see why. I can see why people want to flick him over. But I did this poll the other day, and just look, there's lots of people that want him to stay. Lots of people that want him to stay forward. And I'm happy to be corrected. If McRae says, all right, Brody Mihocek is our new fullback, and he kills it, I will make an apology video. But as it stands right now, I just can't see why the coaching team would flick him down as a defender, because I need Brody Mihocek to stay as a forward, and I'm sure you guys do as well. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think Brody Mihocek should stay as a forward? Do you want him as a defender? What do you think our defense is going to look like? Let me know your thoughts down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later. Before we keep